Do you think there's going to be a lot of teams because of this shortened season bring up and send down guys a lot where you could see them use all three of their minor league options? You could see that 26 man come into play. Do you think there'll be a lot of switching around with the players, especially with pitchers as a result?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's tough to answer that just because of the fact that we don't know. I'm sure that the whole options is going to be a part of the agreement between the union and Major League Baseball. And I think you are going to see teams rely on their, I would say, you know, in a regular season, right? You see a lot of guys go up and down. You see that kind of the 25th man, if you're talking about that person that kind of shifts throughout. Well, this week we more need to be relied on a bullpen, or you kind of have that guy that's in between AAA and on the major league roster, right? You have those guys. I think clubs, if there's a season this year, are going to be relying more on those type of players because let's face it, it's going to be challenging for the players because they came off season, right? They
Right.
came off an off season, and then they started spring training, and then they were told, we're going to go on a hiatus, and we have no idea when we're going to return, if at all, for the next year. Imagine, you know, having to deal with that because you look at pitchers, especially now, where if you're a starter and you were ramping up spring training, and then all of a sudden you said, nope, we're closing all the facilities. If you don't have any gyms that you have access to, well, I'm sorry. You know, so now you had to ramp down, and now they're going to have to ramp back up. How is that going to impact their strength, their stamina for the 2020 season? It's going to take a couple of weeks for them to get back up to normal. And you're going to see that kind of spring training 2.0 that a lot of people are talking about. So I think it is going to be challenging for players on all different fronts. But I think you will start seeing more teams rely on those in-betweeners, the ones that are just almost ready to be at the MLB level. And it's also going to be a good challenge for them and a cool opportunity for them. They get this opportunity to, they're talking about having, 30-man rosters right now at the major league level. And I guarantee that means more jobs. That means to get more opportunity. Now, whether or not that looks like that's only 20 more positions, and having the extra 20-man, whole thing between the extra teams, right, where there's no 7 minor league affiliated teams playing. I feel bad. Where's the fairness in that? How do you even decide that? Do you only play with your 40-man roster? I think that would have to be what makes the most sense. But what if 10 players on their 40-man roster get hurt, and now you have to call on players that haven't played in 4 or 5 months? So there's so many questions, and it's certainly a time where we just don't know anything, to be completely honest.
In the American League Central, this is one of the
Yeah.
worst divisions in baseball. You have the Minnesota Twins that they were a home run team last year, but they're in a division that's really, really bad. The Cleveland Indians, which really have been the dominant team over the years with Bauer, which he's no longer on the team. They have all this great pitching. They don't have that anymore. They're now rebuilding. And you look at the Chicago White Sox, they're rebuilding as well. They're building their farm system over the last couple of years, giving away practically all their star players. It's you guys and Detroit. And Detroit, which is an absolute wreck right now with the contracts that they have and their farm system, which is absolute garbage. Knowing that this division is so weak, and Minnesota right now is on top of that division right now, and Cleveland looks like they're going to fall off and they're going to fall down. Do you think Kansas City has the opportunity now to move up and challenge the Minnesota Twins now?
Look, I think you have to look at it on all fronts, right? And especially you look at the National League where the conversation is surrounding of not having a designated hitter or having a designated hitter in both leagues. I think Kansas City has a benefit of that. And I think, it goes back to my main point where this whole, Kansas City club, they're a young team. They have experience. And I think especially they're hungry right now. And this is where they want to prove themselves. And teams, you're going to start seeing 82 games. Let's say if they're playing 82 games. Anything can happen in baseball. And that's the beauty of the sport. That's why so many people love it so much, is because you can put a team that, may not be as great as the other, and you can put them in a series, a best of 7 series, and that team could win all 4 games, right? So I think you look at it where, you know, I think Kansas City has as best a shot as any other team in the division, just simply because, especially with lesser games and especially with the amount of young talent that's in the system, that could actually be an advantage to them if they do use a, let's say, 30-man roster at one time, where, in one area the Royals might be deeper than the other teams. I think when it comes to teams and minor league systems, Kansas City is right up there. You said it, with 5 or 6 players in the top 100 of their prospects. So I think the deeper in the shorter amount of season, and the deeper you have your minor league system of talented baseball players, it's going to help the team a lot.
Last question for me. I want to actually get into the NACBL because I also broadcast in the NACBL too.
What team?
Danbury Westerners.
Okay.
They have had a lot of major league talent. They're one of the
you
best.
guys got something in common.
Yeah. When I researched that, I'm like, yes. So the NECBL has had a lot of major league talent, most notably guys like Steven Strasburg and Joe Nathan.
Steven Strasburg played on the Bay Sox.
Are there any players that you think that either on the Bay Sox or just in the NECBL in general that are going to be players to watch in maybe the next 4 or 5 years to be stars in the major leagues?
It's certainly interesting, right? To where you kind of get that cool opportunity. It's, Cape Cod and then the NACBL in terms of summer baseball leagues that have the longevity and the credibility with the scouts and Major League Baseball and things along the lines of that. But I think in terms of players to watch for, like you said, people remember and know the NECBL and the Cape Cod League, where you would be actually surprised at how many people intern with a team or play on one of those teams that are in minor league baseball or even on the professional side of baseball. So I think, it's a tough question to answer wholeheartedly, because simply there's so many unknowns. Because let's say there's no baseball in 2020 on the minor league side, I think it's going to be hard to tell, who can, kind of be up in the top of the ranks to have the biggest success in terms of, especially with a shortened draft this year. It's going to be tough for that aspect as well.
They're talking 5 rounds in the draft. They're talking 5 rounds.
5 rounds. That's less rounds than the NFL.
Yep.
And none of the players that are drafted in the NFL draft go to the minor leagues. The players that are drafted in the NFL draft play right on the major league team. So it's going to be challenging. And I think it's definitely been a couple definitely weird, but challenging weeks in the baseball world, because of, how can you go from 40 rounds to 5 in less than 10 months? So I think
it has a lot to do with money. It really does.
100%.
It has a lot to do with money.
And I understand, because the odds of minor league baseball happening at the extent that, if minor league baseball happens this year,
right,
there won't be any fans. And that's their main part of the revenue at the end of the day. It's the Monday night games that no one really cares about, but then you throw in a bobblehead giveaway, and then that place is sold out, and now that game means something. And with no fans, you won't have those games. So I think that's the big piece as to why having no minor league season, if there is no minor league season, why it's tough pill to swallow, but at the end of the day, it makes the most sense, especially just across the board, to where the safety of all the front office, the staff of the teams, the players, number one priority. Hey, look, I'm all for it. If they figure out a plan that ensures everyone's safety and health, I'm ready to go tomorrow. But until that day happens, it doesn't look likely. But I think the beauty of those summer leagues, to answer your question here, is there's so many talented players, and it's an exciting time for sure. This is, a great time. If you don't know a lot of minor league players, study up a team. If you have one favorite team, research another one. Learn their minor league system. Get to know them as people. I would guarantee you a lot of them are now on Twitch streaming video games. So, why not hop on one of those? Comment a couple questions. I'm sure that they would definitely answer any questions that you have. Reach out to them. Talk to them. They would love that. So I think that's a great piece as well.
I'm going to get off of baseball. I'm going to ask you a couple of quick questions, and you can answer
Yeah.
however way you want. You ready?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
First
I'm
question.
As ready as I will be.
First question. Favorite movie and why?
Favorite? Are we talking sports movies or
Any
movies
movie.
in general?
Favorite movie
Any
in general.
movie. Okay. Well, I'll give you two. I'll break the rules a little bit. For sports movie, I would say Field of Dreams, because that's just a classic and it gets me excited every time. And then also,
How excited does it get you? How excited does it get you?
Very excited.
Very excited that you jump for joy every time it comes on? Oh my God, it's on. Yes. You get like that?
Well, I wouldn't say not that. It makes me happy, I guess. It makes me happy. I think, especially now, the first week when sports were canceled, where, we put Field of Dreams on, and it was more inspirational than anything. And it was definitely refreshing, and, it gives hope, right? And that's the whole basis of the movie. Hey, Dad, want to have a catch? There's that aspect, even though you have the argument, is it want to catch or have a catch? Anyways, it's another argument for another time. But still, it's that aspect of a classic baseball movie. And the other favorite movie, Anchorman. I love Anchorman.
I hate that movie.
Really?
Absolutely.
You hate that
I am a Will Ferrell fan. That is
Really?
one movie I would not watch Anchorman 2. I cannot
that wasn't as good.
I cannot sit and watch that movie. I think it's completely boring. I did not think that was any funny whatsoever. I didn't think that was funny whatsoever.
Really?
I didn't.
I agree with you on the second one, but the first one I liked.
I thought the movie stunk. But hey, listen, everybody's got their own favorites. So, what type of music would you rather dance to? Would you rather dance to country music or hip hop music?
I love my country music, especially. Country, if you look back at it, country is definitely a classic baseball genre, right?
Is it really?
You can't really go to a baseball game and escape at least one country song.
Oh, come on, Alex. Alex, when
So
you go
I think
when you go to Yankee Stadium, all the players come up to hip hop music, reggaeton. I never hear. Well, that's not true. I've heard a couple of players have country music, but it's very few.
ask
Very
Brett
few.
Gardner. Brett Gardner
That's right.
always comes up with a country song.
That's right.
Andrew Benintendi has some country songs as well. So, well, of course, you got your hip hop and your rap. I would say
You're a
country
clogger.
music I would love to dance.
I could see you clogging.
He has a new expertise, though. Walk-up music.
I can see Alex clogging. I can really see him. You see him. Hey, look, it's Alex. He's clogging right now. Boxers or briefs?
Briefs.
Briefs. Wow, we got a briefs. That's very interesting. Growing up as a baseball fan, and obviously baseball was your sport that you loved, because that's why you're broadcasting it. I believe that usually people that push themselves through different sports, I'm a broadcaster. I've done play-by-play for football, baseball, hockey, basketball. I've done them all, but I have a passion for as much as I was a hockey player, I have a passion for basketball more than any sport. For some reason, I do, even though I have a terrible team I root for, and that's the New York Knicks, okay? Yeah. That team. And you live in New York, so you're probably a Knicks fan too. Am I right?
Nope, not a Knicks fan at all.
Oh, well, what fan? What basketball team do you root for?
It's not a cop. Some may say this is going to be a cop out, but I honestly don't have a favorite NBA team. It's just to be completely honest,
you're a Michael Jordan fan. We know.
Yeah. It would go baseball, football, hockey, basketball.
Really?
My top four favorites. Yeah, I'm not a big basketball guy.
You look like a tennis fan. You do look like a tennis fan.
I do like some tennis.
I know you do. You look like the tennis type of player.